You apparently really enjoyed the critique I did of Sophia Richie's wedding in my last video, particularly on TikTok. So today I want to review another famous person's wedding, keep the ball rolling. So Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens got married in Cabo, and based on the cover image, it looks like they had a pretty nice wedding. So let's dive in with their photos. All right, first image here, we're looking at some nice layout photography. This is a pretty standard thing to do. It's a good idea to do if you're kind of getting started in the wedding photography, because this is the kind of shot that an amateur is not going to get, but someone who knows what they're doing will. Because you got to take the time to lay out all these things, collect all the items that are memorable from the day, the invitations, the perfume, any watches or jewelry, the shoes. It's a nice little detail to add to the day that not everyone thinks about. So these images were captured by Stanlow Photography. This is really nice. This is really close to the ring, which makes me think they were using a macro lens, which is interesting because not every wedding photographer brings a macro lens. It was either shot with a macro lens or it was shot with a regular lens and just cropped in. But man, there are a lot of diamonds on that ring. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, attention to detail is so important. It makes such a huge difference because look, they specifically laid out these rings here on the invitation. They put the engagement ring and the bride's band and then the groom's band right in between the word "and." So it's like the bride and the groom. I guarantee you they did that on purpose, and that's some really nice attention to detail. Some more detail stuff on the groom side of things. This photo's okay. The details of the rings and stuff are kind of lost in the texture of this one. All right, we got the first photo with people in it. This is a nice candid shot. It's not the best just because her face is kind of frozen in not the most flattering pose, but it does capture the sporadic emotion of the moment, so that's kind of nice. These getting ready photos are really nice. Either the photographer was lighting these or they had some kind of beauty makeup light type of thing lighting her face, because her face is very well lit in all of these. Or maybe they just had a really nice window light. With how sharp these photos are and the background blur, the photographer has got to have been using like a 50mm f1.2 or maybe an 85 f1.2 because it's really crisp, really sharp. Yeah, no, these photos are really nice, really good getting ready photos. Then onto the groom side, getting ready. These are really nice and sharp and crisp as well. There's a lot of glare on the groom's face here. This is actually something, if you're a photographer, listen in. Shooting portraits of people, especially with darker skin tones, they often get a glare like this in harsher light conditions. It really takes away from the quality of the skin tones. A way to get around this is to use a circular polarizer filter. It will cut that right out and you'll see way more true skin tones. Now, polarizer filter is not something a lot of photographers are normally bringing with them, but if you know you're going to be shooting someone, especially with darker skin tones, it works for people with lighter skin tones too, but not quite as well. Definitely bring a circular polarizer filter because this photo, while it's nice, doesn't look as good as it could just because of this extra glare on here. It just makes him look kind of sweaty and, you know, it looks overexposed, but otherwise it is a very nice photo. The photographer did a really good job of capturing the mixed moments between the candids, like this photo up here. It looks like it was probably kind of posed. Like this photo up here is obviously candid, they're not really posing for it. And then this is a little more posed, and then this shot here is very posed. But sometimes it can be hard to go back and forth in between capturing the real moments and then the pose moments. So I think they did a really good job of that. Also some wider shots mixed in with the tighter shots. That's an important aspect as well. A lot of people get like an 85 f1.2 or like a 135 f1.8 and they love how compressed and blurry the background looks, and then they shoot everything really tight, really zoomed in to get that blurry background. And that's nice, but it's also good to get some variety. You don't want every single shot to be really tight because it feels a little claustrophobic. So it's nice to also step back and get full body shots like this, especially when you're talking about capturing the wedding dress. Nice. I'm guessing this looks like a first look for the bridesmaids. This looks candid, but this was almost definitely posed. Groom side of things looking a little more serious. It's a pretty standard pose for the guys, just like hands in front. I don't love that. I mean, it does look nice and formal, but weddings are about the emotional part of the day. You don't necessarily want to be just stone cold the whole time. But also guys are usually a lot more awkward about kind of showing that emotional side or showing any kind of expression in front of a camera. So I like this one a lot more though. This is nice. You got to get some of the photos of just the bride with the dress. It is looking a little crooked, and the framing's kind of weird. Like they cut off part of the dress. I think it would have been nice to go a little bit wider and get the entire dress in there, and then also just correct for the horizon a little bit. It looks a little crooked here. Empty venue shot, again, something important to capture that you may not think about, but this looks really nice. Now, the only thing I'm noticing is the sky is a very weird purpley color. I'm guessing this has to do with the way they color graded, the way they edited their photos, because all these photos have a very nice, like, warm kind of look to them, which is a pretty common editing style for wedding photos. It's just a nice, warm, bright feeling, but it kind of messed with this sky a little bit because these clouds are not proper white in the highlights, and they're like a weird bluish purple in the shadows. Personally, I would have maybe taken a brush and desaturated the sky a bit more, or even just dragged the blue slider or the purple slider down a little bit in the HSL, because I think that just kind of clashes. It looks a little bit unnatural to me. Same with this one. Also, I don't know if it's just the angle they're shooting at, but it looks crooked. And now for the actual ceremony. I love this, capturing the emotion. I'm hoping he's looking at the bride walking down the aisle here. This is a really nice shot to get. And also a reason why having a second shooter is really nice, because if this is the bride walking down the aisle and he's smiling, it's tricky to capture the bride walking down and then turn and then capture him and then go back to the bride, then maybe get mom and dad's reaction. It's a lot to get in the like 1 minute it takes for the bride to walk down the aisle. So having a second shooter to capture the reaction shots and capture these emotions is really nice. This is really nice. There's a random person walking in the background. This looks like a hotel of some kind or a resort, so maybe there were some people just walking around. I think it's a little weird that someone's just right there in the background, because there's like these fire things which look pretty cool, and then there's just like some dude watching. I think that's kind of weird. I would have maybe removed that. Okay, yeah, you can see in the background there's like a bunch of people back there walking down the aisle. So I'm guessing the photographer has a zoom lens on here. He's looking over here, getting the bride walking down, going back, getting the groom's reaction this way, and then going back. Yeah, because then we got another shot here. This is such a nice shot, because this is what I'm talking about. These are the emotions you want to capture. Like, look at him, he's about to cry. And then you see her reaction to his reaction. Then we just got the standard ceremony shots and the first kiss. This is a really nice first kiss shot. This guy is kind of ruining it. The officiant or whoever was speaking. Would have been nice if he stepped out of this one, or that might be easy enough to clone stamp out. I would have maybe removed him, because otherwise this would be like a perfectly clean, symmetrical shot. Also, I'm noticing the sky may have changed, but look how these photos are edited differently than the ones before. Remember I mentioned the sky looks kind of weird. Look at the sky is just like a neutral gray in these photos compared to here a little bit earlier in the day. Look how weird the sky looks now once you see the other photos. I think these photos, I don't know why they edited these ones differently, but desaturating the sky would have, I think, worked a lot better in this case. Because like now this looks weird compared to what we were just looking at. Like the sky looks way nicer in these photos, and I don't think it has anything to do with what the sky was doing. I think it's in the editing. Again, the photographer got some great coverage here, going back and forth between the bride and groom, and then, you know, to the parents' reaction here. The ceremony specifically, there's a lot of stuff throughout the day when you're capturing candidates that's just kind of like, I'm gonna be here in the moment and capture what happens. This is not one of those times. This is one of those times where you have to have in your head, okay, I need at least one good reaction from the mom, one good reaction from the dad on the groom side, one good reaction from the mom and dad on the bride's side, one angle from over the groom's shoulder, one angle from over the bride's shoulder, one straight down the middle, one wide, one tight, maybe a reaction from the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, especially because these ceremonies can be over and done in like 15 minutes sometimes. So you don't exactly have time to pull out a shot list and check your phone or check a list of some kind. You have to have these ready in your head. This is really, I would say, the most stressful part of the day is capturing the ceremony, because when I tell people weddings are stressful because things happen fast, and if you miss a moment, it's gone. These are specifically the moments I'm talking about. There's other stuff, yes, throughout the day, but this is like the do or die moment of the wedding, where if you don't capture all these shots in this like 15 to 30 minute period, you just missed them, they're gone. This photographer, I don't know if he had a second shooter. It's labeled Stanlow Photography, so like their brand, it could be, they could have hired a second shooter, but I get the feeling it's just one person, and they seem to be getting some really good coverage. And yay, they're married, walk back down the aisle. These are always tricky shots because sometimes the bride and groom, they're excited, they're happy, they're walking a little bit fast. You know, the walk down the aisle initially is nice and slow, the slow music's playing, and then the walk back is like, yay, we're married, let's go quickly. So as the photographer, you're like walking backwards, like trying to, you know, frame up your shot and also making sure you don't run over someone. So these shots are always, I think, a little more sporadic than the original walking down the aisle part, but they still turned out really nice here. Oh, and then they stopped at the end and did like a little dip slash first kiss. This is really nice. I like this a lot. Because look at the reaction from everyone in the audience. They're like these people over here specifically are like, oh my God. Oh, and then they did get a post photo, just them at the front there. The groom here is looking a little stunned. He didn't really pose for this. She's like perfect model pose, perfect model face. She's like ready for this shot, and he's like, looks like a deer in the headlights a little bit. It looks like they did the walk down the aisle, and then everyone probably moved on to the reception area, and then they went back to the altar here to take some more photos, which if you have a really nice looking altar setup like this, then that's kind of a good idea. This is nice. So this is the whole wedding party. I really like this idea of staggering the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, because you often get like bride and groom in the middle, and then like all the groomsmen here in a line, all the bridesmaids here in a line, and that's a totally good shot to get. But this I think looks I kind of like this nicer, especially if the bridesmaids and groomsmen, I don't know if they are in this case, but sometimes you have like one of, you know, partners on either side. So like some of the groomsmen are married or dating some of the bridesmaids. So if you kind of pair them up, I think that looks kind of nice. The sitting down, having a few of them sitting is an interesting choice. I think it kind of works in this case, but generally speaking, having some people sitting and some people standing usually looks a little weird in photos. I think they kind of pulled it off here. But again, we're back to this weird purple sky, and I'm not really sure what that's about, but I'm not liking it. But these are some really nice shots. This photographer is doing a great job of getting the pose shots, but then incorporating some kind of candid element to it. These are really nice here. They've gotten a lot of photos in front of this arch though. I think it would have been nice to have a little more variety, because they're like all their photos, maybe there are, I haven't gotten through all of them yet, but so far like all of their posed couple photos are in front of this arch. But these are great. These are all like really nice poses. I really like when couples do this. It seems like right after the ceremony, they probably said, hey, family and friends, everyone that's not part of the wedding party, everyone go to the reception area to get your drinks and stuff. We're gonna stay here for 30 minutes and take some photos, or 30 minutes, maybe an hour, I don't know. It's really nice to allot some time for that, because then you can get all the family photos and the wedding party photos done and out of the way. Then those people go, and then you're just left with the bride and groom, and you can get some really nice shots of just the two of them, which is nice. This photographer did a lot of photos of just the couple, and I really like that, because those are really the best photos to come out of the day. Like on the wedding day, the photographer is probably capturing a few thousand photos for like a 8 to 10 hour day. They're probably going to deliver a few hundred, but out of those few hundred, how many are the bride and groom actually going to keep and look at and print for a really long time? There's probably like 5 to 10 photos out of the whole day that that are going to really matter and be really special to them. And most likely they're going to be the first kiss, maybe a first look, maybe some really nice walking down the aisle shot. But other than that, the photos that they're probably going to love the most are the ones of just the two of them that are really nicely done and really well put together. So it can be tricky on the wedding day because, you know, everything's moving so fast. You don't want to take too much time to get these photos, but just keep in mind, these are the ones that are going to be printed on your bedside table or hanging up in your living room for the rest of your life. So now we move on to the reception. These are nice. So they didn't just get photos in front of the flowers. They got some other ones here. They did get some variety. Then some more candids, their first entrance, everyone's standing up and clapping. And now you can see it's getting dark out. The photographer, I don't love when you can see the flash in the shots, but it definitely helps. You can see it creates this nice edge light on them. The photographer probably also has another flash either on a stand next to them or on top of their camera, and that's lighting the front of them. But especially once it starts to get dark, flash can really elevate your photos. And like 99% of the time, reception areas or the dance areas are dark. So if you're starting wedding photographer, a couple flashes are a good investment. Look at that, they had some sparklers go off. So overall, a really nice wedding. I think these photos are really well done. Other than a few interesting editing choices, there was a lot of attention to detail in these photos, and I think they turned out amazing. If you'd like to check out any of my work or you want to book me, you can find my stuff down in the description. You can find my website and Instagram and TikTok and all that down there. And if you like this video, consider hitting the like button. If you want to see more, maybe subscribe. I don't know. But that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. I will catch you in the next video.